There are places on Earth where silence is not empty. In the Atacama Desert, silence is alive. It stretches across the land like an unseen ocean, pressing against stone and sky, swallowing footsteps before they can echo. No trees rustle here, no rivers whisper. Even the wind seems to hesitate, as if unsure whether it belongs in a place this still. The ground is pale with salt, cracked into ancient patterns like the surface of a forgotten planet. Red valleys wind through the landscape, carved by water that vanished long ago. Volcanic peaks rise without ceremony, their shadows sharp and motionless beneath a sun that shows no mercy. Above it all, the sky dominates. By day, it is a hard, endless blue, so clear it feels artificial. By night, it opens completely, revealing galaxies, star clouds, and light that began its journey before humans ever existed. This is one of the driest places on Earth. In some regions, rain has not fallen for generations. Time behaves differently here. Organic matter does not decay. Footprints can last for years. The past refuses to disappear. And yet, this is not a lifeless world. Hidden beneath stones, microbes breathe minerals instead of air. Flamingos gather at high-altitude lagoons, feeding on microscopic life in water so salty it should not sustain anything at all. Ancient peoples once crossed these plains guided by the stars, leaving behind carvings and stories etched into rock. The Atacama does not invite you in. It challenges you to stay. It strips the world down to essentials: light, stone, distance, silence, until nothing remains but perspective. Standing here, you are not the center of anything. You are a visitor in a land that has existed for millions of years and will endure long after memory fades. This is the Atacama Desert, a place where Earth feels unfinished, a place where silence speaks louder than words. The Atacama Desert lies along the western edge of South America, stretching across northern Chile like a vast, desiccated corridor between two powerful forces of nature. To the east rise the Andes Mountains, towering, jagged, and relentless. To the west lies the Pacific Ocean, cold and unforgiving. Between them, the Atacama exists in a state of permanent deprivation. Its geography is the result of collision. Millions of years ago, the Nazca tectonic plate began to slide beneath the South American plate in a slow, violent process known as subduction. This movement forced the Andes upward, creating one of the longest mountain ranges on Earth. As the mountains rose, they formed an immense barrier, blocking moist air masses drifting from the Amazon basin. Rain that once might have reached the western plains fell instead on the eastern slopes, leaving the land beyond in shadow. At the same time, the Pacific Ocean contributed to the desert's isolation. The Humboldt Current, a cold, nutrient-rich flow moving northward along the South American coast, chilled the air above it. Cool air struggles to rise, preventing the formation of rain clouds. Moisture remained locked over the sea, never reaching the land. The Atacama was trapped. Over geological time, ancient seas retreated, leaving behind vast salt deposits. These hardened into salares, enormous salt flats that reflect the sky like broken mirrors. The Salar de Atacama, the largest of them all, marks the remnants of a prehistoric inland sea that evaporated completely under an increasingly arid climate. Volcanic activity further shaped the terrain. Dozens of volcanoes dominate the eastern horizon, their slopes layered with ash, pumice, and solidified lava. Ojos del Salado, the highest active volcano on Earth, rises more than 6,800 meters above sea level, its summit crowned with snow that may never melt, even under intense sunlight. Wind and time sculpted what water could not. Canyons were carved by rare, catastrophic floods, events so infrequent they feel almost mythical. Red rock formations, iron-rich and oxidized, give the valleys their Martian hue. Basalt plains stretch outward like frozen waves of black stone. Despite its apparent emptiness, The Atacama is a geological archive. Because erosion is minimal and rainfall scarce, the land preserves its own history with extraordinary clarity. Ancient riverbeds remain visible. Mineral layers lie exposed. Even meteorites, fallen from space, sit undisturbed for thousands of years. The Atacama is not merely a desert shaped by dryness. It is a landscape forged by tectonic violence, climatic precision, and the slow patience of time. Standing at the edge of the world, unchanged, watching continents move and oceans vanish. In the Atacama Desert, rain is not rare. It is almost non-existent. Some weather stations in this region have never recorded a single drop. Others have waited decades, sometimes centuries, between measurable rainfall events. In a world shaped by water, the Atacama stands as an exception, governed instead by absence. This extreme aridity is the result of a precise and unforgiving climate system. The Andes Mountains form an immense wall to the east, blocking humid air from the Amazon basin. To the west, the cold Humboldt Current chills the atmosphere above the Pacific Ocean, preventing warm air from rising and clouds from forming. High-pressure systems settle permanently over the region, suppressing precipitation before it can begin. Moisture arrives only as fog. Along the coast, a low-lying mist known as Camanchaca drifts inland during the early morning hours. It moves silently across the landscape, touching rocks and hillsides before dissolving under the rising sun. Rarely does it fall as rain. Instead, it clings briefly to the surface, offering a thin, fleeting lifeline to organisms adapted to capture it. Temperature extremes add another layer of severity. Daytime sunlight is intense, unfiltered by clouds or humidity. The ground heats rapidly, while the air remains dry and thin. At night, that heat escapes just as quickly. Temperatures can swing by more than 20 degrees Celsius in a matter of hours, fracturing stone and testing every living system. The Atacama's dryness preserves rather than erases. Organic material decomposes slowly. Nitrate deposits, once harvested on an industrial scale, accumulated undisturbed for millions of years. Even human remains, textiles, and tools can persist in near-perfect condition. But this stability is fragile. When rain does fall, often during rare El Niño events, it arrives suddenly and violently, triggering floods and landslides in terrain unaccustomed to water. The desert's long equilibrium is briefly shattered, then restored. In the Atacama, climate is not a cycle. It is a constant, a relentless force that leaves no room for error and no mercy for the unprepared. By every conventional measure, the Atacama Desert should be lifeless. And yet, it is not. Life here exists on the edge of possibility, shaped by scarcity so complete that survival becomes an act of precision. There are no continuous ecosystems in the Atacama, only isolated pockets, separated by vast stretches of stone and salt. Each is an experiment in endurance. At the smallest scale, life hides in plain sight. Beneath translucent stones, microbial communities shelter from lethal ultraviolet radiation while still absorbing sunlight. These organisms extract moisture from the air and energy from minerals, sustaining themselves without soil, shade, or rainfall. Some metabolize iron, sulfur, or salt, processes once believed incompatible with life. These microbes have drawn global attention. Scientists study them not only to understand Earth's limits, but to imagine life beyond it. The Atacama has become a natural laboratory for astrobiology, offering insight into how organisms might survive on Mars or other arid worlds. Where water does emerge, ecosystems bloom cautiously. High in the Andes, lagoons fed by underground aquifers puncture the desert with brilliant color: turquoise, emerald, rust red, each hue shaped by minerals and microscopic life. Flamingos arrive in flocks, filtering algae from hypersaline water with specialized beaks. Insects follow. So do birds, and occasionally mammals, tracing fragile food chains anchored by invisible chemistry. Coastal zones form another boundary of life. There, the Camanchaca fog sustains lichen, mosses, and sparse vegetation on hillsides that never see rain. Some plants have evolved to absorb moisture directly from fog through their leaves, bypassing roots entirely. These ecosystems are ancient, isolated, and extraordinarily vulnerable. Disturb one element, water flow, mineral balance, temperature, and the entire system can collapse. In the Atacama, life does not compete for abundance. It negotiates with absence. Every organism is a specialist. Every survival strategy is exact. There is no margin for waste, no room for excess. Against all odds, life persists, not loudly, not visibly, but with quiet determination, written into stone, salt, and time itself. In the Atacama Desert, survival is an art of restraint. Nothing here grows quickly. Nothing wastes energy. Life moves slowly, carefully, shaped by generations of trial in a land that offers no forgiveness. The plants and animals of the Atacama are not conquerors of their environment. They are collaborators, adapted to endure where abundance never existed. Plants are the first to reveal this quiet mastery. Cacti rise from gravel plains like sentinels, their thick skins designed to store water for years at a time. Their spines reduce moisture loss while casting small shadows that cool their surfaces. Shrubs remain low to the ground, hugging the earth to avoid wind and sun, their roots extending deep into mineral soil in search of faint traces of moisture. Some species wait. For years, sometimes decades, seeds lie dormant beneath the surface, sensing nothing. Then, on the rare occasions when rain does fall, the desert transforms. Hillsides erupt in color during the Desierto Florido, a brief and breathtaking bloom of purples, yellows, and whites. Within weeks, it fades again, leaving little evidence it ever occurred. Animal life follows similar rhythms of caution. Many creatures avoid daylight entirely. Foxes, rodents, and insects emerge at dawn and dusk when temperatures soften. Reptiles absorb heat from stone, regulating their bodies with precision before retreating to shade. High above the plains, vicuñas move gracefully across sparse grasses near Andean wetlands, their bodies adapted to thin air and cold nights. Birds trace invisible pathways between salt flats, lagoons, and coastlines. Flamingos, their pink feathers reflecting mineral-rich water, feed on microscopic algae that thrive where few others can. Even scavengers are scarce. Every calorie is precious. Every movement matters. In the Atacama, life is not dramatic. It is disciplined. These survivors do not dominate the desert. They persist within it, silent, patient, and perfectly tuned to a world of stone and salt. Long before telescopes and mines, before borders and maps, the Atacama Desert was home. Its earliest inhabitants did not see the land as empty or hostile. To them, it was alive, layered with meaning, memory, and spirit. Among these peoples were the Licanantai, also known as the Atacameño, who built their lives around the rare sources of water scattered across the desert. Oases were sacred. Mountains were guardians. The sky was a storybook written in light. The Licanantai cultivated maize, quinoa, and squash, using intricate irrigation systems that guided meltwater from the Andes. They herded llamas and alpacas, traveling along ancient trade routes that crossed salt flats and mountain passes, connecting the Pacific coast with the high Andes and the Amazon basin. But survival was only part of their relationship with the land. The desert shaped belief. Volcanoes were not inert mountains. They were powerful beings, capable of blessing or destruction. High peaks like Licancabur became ceremonial centers, places where offerings were made to ensure balance between humans and the natural world. Water, so rare and precious, was treated not as property but as a living force deserving respect. The night sky held particular significance. In a land where darkness arrived clean and complete, stars guided travel, marked seasons, and anchored myths. Constellations were read not only in the stars themselves, but in the dark spaces between them. a celestial mirror of the desert below. Petroglyphs carved into canyon walls remain as quiet testimony. They depict caravans of llamas, hunting scenes, geometric symbols, and cosmic imagery. These were not decorations, they were messages. Records of movement, belief, and identity etched into stone meant to endure as long as the land itself. When the Inca Empire expanded southward, it absorbed these desert cultures into a broader network, introducing new rituals while preserving local traditions. Later, Spanish colonization disrupted ancient lifeways, but it did not erase them. Today, indigenous communities continue to live in and around the Atacama, maintaining ceremonies, language, and knowledge passed down across centuries. Their worldview endures, a reminder that the desert is not empty space, but ancestral ground. The Atacama remembers their voices, carried by wind, etched in stone, written in the stars. For centuries, the Atacama Desert resisted human ambition. Its silence repelled explorers. Its vast distances erased the unprepared. But beneath its hardened surface lay treasures that would eventually draw people deep into its heart. Salt, silver, nitrates, and copper, locked away in stone and dust. Early European explorers crossed the Atacama reluctantly, guided by indigenous knowledge and ancient caravan routes. Survival depended on knowing where water could be found, where shade might exist, and when not to travel at all. Many who ignored these rules never returned. Everything changed in the 19th century. Vast deposits of nitrate, once called white gold, were discovered beneath the desert floor. Used in fertilizers and explosives, nitrates became a strategic resource, fueling global agriculture and warfare. Mining camps sprang up almost overnight, connected by railways that cut through the emptiness like scars. Entire towns rose from the dust. Humberstone, Santa Laura, Chacabuco. They bustled with life. Schools, theaters, workshops, isolated islands of humanity surrounded by absolute desolation. Workers labored under extreme conditions, hauling minerals beneath relentless sun, their lives defined by dust, routine, and distance from the rest of the world. When synthetic fertilizers replaced natural nitrates, the desert reclaimed these settlements. Buildings were abandoned. Tools were left where they fell. Today, these ghost towns remain astonishingly intact, preserved by the same dryness that once sustained the industry. Wind moves through empty doorways. Rust never fully wins. Mining did not end. It evolved. Copper transformed the Atacama into one of the most economically vital regions on Earth. Chile became the world's leading copper producer, its wealth tied directly to the desert's depths. In recent decades, lithium, essential for modern batteries, has emerged as a new prize, extracted from salt flats where water is already scarce. This extraction carries consequences. Water diverted for mining threatens fragile ecosystems and indigenous communities. The balance between economic survival and environmental preservation grows increasingly delicate. The Atacama has always demanded sacrifice. Now, it demands responsibility. When night falls in the Atacama Desert, the earth seems to disappear. Darkness arrives clean and complete, unbroken by humidity, clouds, or artificial light. The air is dry. The atmosphere is stable. The stars emerge not gradually, but all at once. Thousands of them, sharp and unmoving. For astronomers, this is paradise. The Atacama's unique conditions make it one of the finest places on Earth to observe the universe. High altitude reduces atmospheric interference. Minimal moisture allows infrared and millimeter wave signals to reach telescopes with extraordinary clarity. Light pollution is almost non-existent. As a result, some of the world's most powerful observatories rise from the desert's plateaus. The Atacama Large Millimeter/Submillimeter Array, ALMA, spreads across the Chajnantor Plateau like a formation of white sentinels, listening for the faint whispers of cosmic dust and gas. Nearby, optical telescopes peer deep into space, studying exoplanets, distant galaxies, and the echoes of the universe's birth. Here, scientists search for answers to humanity's oldest questions. How did the stars form? Are we alone? What came before everything? The desert itself contributes to this inquiry. Its soil and microbes resemble Martian conditions so closely that space agencies use the Atacama as a testing ground for rovers, instruments, and life detection experiments. What survives here might survive elsewhere. At night, the Milky Way arches overhead so brightly it casts shadows on the ground. Ancient peoples once read these skies for guidance and meaning. Modern science reads them for data, but the sense of wonder remains unchanged. In the Atacama, the boundary between Earth and cosmos feels thin. You stand beneath a universe that does not care, and yet reveals itself completely. A reminder that this harsh, silent desert is not isolated at all, but deeply connected to everything beyond it. For most of its existence, the Atacama Desert seemed untouchable. Its vastness discouraged intrusion. Its dryness preserved everything it held. Change came so slowly that the land appeared eternal. But in the modern age, even the most ancient landscapes are no longer beyond reach. Mining remains the greatest pressure on the Atacama. The extraction of copper and lithium, resources essential to global technology and renewable energy, demands enormous quantities of water. In a desert where water defines life itself, this diversion strains fragile ecosystems and threatens high-altitude wetlands that sustain birds, animals, and entire food chains. Salt flats, once thought lifeless, are now recognized as complex systems. Altering their hydrology can disrupt microbial life, mineral balance, and the flamingo populations that depend on them. Damage here is not quickly repaired. In the Atacama, recovery is measured not in years, but in centuries. Tourism adds another layer of impact. As the desert's surreal beauty attracts visitors from around the world, footprints, vehicle tracks, and light pollution accumulate. Even minor disturbances can leave marks that persist for decades. Ancient petroglyphs and archaeological sites face erosion, not from rain, but from human presence. Climate change complicates everything. Shifts in temperature and precipitation patterns increase the likelihood of extreme weather events. Rare rains arrive with unexpected force, triggering floods and landslides that reshape terrain unaccustomed to water. Meanwhile, rising temperatures threaten the delicate balance that allows life to exist at the margins. Conservation efforts are growing, but they demand cooperation. Scientists, indigenous communities, governments, and industries must negotiate a future where preservation and progress coexist. Protected areas, water management policies, and cultural heritage protections offer hope, but only if they are enforced with care and foresight. The Atacama is resilient, but it is not invulnerable. Its endurance is not infinite. What we choose to take from this desert, and what we choose to protect, will determine whether its silence remains intact or whether it becomes a record of what was lost. The Atacama Desert does not forget. It remembers oceans that vanished millions of years ago. It remembers volcanic fire, frozen peaks, and rivers that no longer flow. It remembers footsteps pressed into salt and stone, left behind by travelers who trusted the stars to guide them home. Here, time does not rush forward. It settles. Under the relentless sun, the land holds its stories with extraordinary patience. Organic matter does not decay. Ruins remain upright. Ancient carvings endure, their meanings carried quietly across generations. Even the night sky seems unchanged, its constellations reflecting those seen by the first people who crossed this desert long before history was written. Standing in the Atacama, the modern world feels distant. Noise fades. Scale shifts. You are reminded how small a single lifetime is against the span of geological time, and yet how powerful human choices can be. This desert mirrors other worlds, but it is undeniably our own. A place where Earth reveals its most extreme boundaries, of dryness, of endurance, of beauty stripped to its core. The Atacama does not ask to be conquered. It asks to be understood. In its silence, it offers perspective. In its emptiness, meaning. In its endurance, a lesson. The desert will remain, watching the sky, preserving the past, reflecting the universe above it. And long after we are gone, the Atacama will still remember that we were here,